Visit our sponsor, Infidel Body Armor, right now. Get the AMTV Armor Kit Special because it's sick. Save big. Get the Viper Modular Operator Plate Carrier, your choice of color, Infidel Level 3 curved armor plates, 10 by 12 inch front and back AR-500 steel with 1/4 inch build-up standard, tactical trauma individual first aid kit, and AR-15 magazine pouches, enough to hold 6 30-round magazines. Infidel Body Armor just won't quit. Call 1-888-608-6605. That's 1-888-608-6605. Or click the link below right now. Lifetime warranty, free shipping.
Well, I wrote a book in the late 80s called The Art of the Deal, and to this day it's the biggest selling business book ever written. And it doesn't change. I mean, the times have changed, the world has changed, business has changed, but it doesn't change. And to a certain extent it was about negotiation.
Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green, and you're tuning into AMTV, Alternative Media Television. Will Donald Trump throw the election? You might not be so sure after reading this book, written by him and a ghostwriter, Tony Schwartz, Trump, The Art of the Deal. It's been around for a while. It's a very popular book. And after reading it, you'll come to understand how Donald Trump thinks, how he's a master tactician, marketer, and he's essentially a poker player of Manhattan real estate in all of his business dealings, including Atlantic City with his casinos. Casinos like Trump Castle that eventually went bankrupt, that he plods himself in this book multiple times. Those of you that are informed know that Donald Trump isn't perfect, never pretended that he was. I don't think that he pretends that he is. But he's actually been bankrupt 4 times. 4 times. And what's interesting is that Carl Icahn, one of his friends, actually was behind the financing on some of these properties. That was actually the guy that Donald Trump owed some $400 billion to in bond issuance on some of these properties he ended up foreclosing on, which is interesting because they remain friends, and Donald J. Trump plans to tap Carl Icahn as the Treasury Secretary of the United States if and when he becomes President of the United States. But will Donald Trump throw the election? Again, you might not be too sure after reading this book, because what you learn is not only is he a master tactician, marketer, but he's also a huge bluffer. And in the end, through all of these dealings, again, the title of the book, The Art of the Deal, at the end of each deal that he makes, he always does what's in the best interest of Donald Trump. And this is a question that I've put out there to the general public for some time now. I've been very open to this, and I still support Donald Trump. I support his presidency. But I've always asked the question, and I think Americans need to ask this for themselves. Don't let me decide this for you. At the end of the day, is Donald Trump going to do what's right for the country, or is he going to do what's right for Donald Trump? Because in this book, when you read about Donald Trump and the art of the deal, he almost always does what's right for himself. So it's a very good question. It's a critical question. And there's several instances in the book. There's one in particular where he's making a hostile bid takeover for Holiday Inn, for example, accumulating some 5% of their shares outstanding on Wall Street, only at the end of the day to sell at a massive profit before actually taking over the company. Basically reneging on his original intention to take over Holiday Inn. Could this be somehow translated into what we're seeing with his White House bid right now? I mean, what would stop Donald Trump? It's almost like he's got an option, which he has a lot of options on Manhattan real estate. He talks about this in The Art of the Deal. It's almost like he has an option on the U.S. presidency right now. He's just kind of dangling this over the heads of the elites, whether or not it's the Democratic or the Republican Party. I mean, the Republican Party hates him. People like Mitt Romney hate him. The establishment elite hate him. People like Hillary Clinton hate him. People like George Soros hates him. So everybody hates him, but he's worked himself into the deal of mainstream politics. And now he holds a giant option on the American people. So the question is, what will Donald Trump do? What will Donald Trump do at the end of the day if somebody like George Soros or others, just to put out an example, or somebody from the GOP establishment elite presents him with a huge windfall of cash, as is the case in some of these business dealings that he's a part of in this book? Will he take the money and run? Or does he wholeheartedly want to be president of the United States for a good reason and for good reasoning? Does he have good intentions? Is his heart in the right place? Again, is this more about money? Because it's all about money in this book. I mean, he's got ego and he likes the power. He says it's not about money. He likes the game, so I do believe him there. But he says that, but in every deal he talks about in the book, he always makes the decision around the money. So it's kind of not about the money, but it's also very much about the money. So will Donald Trump pull the plug on his own campaign in the not too distant future as he dangles this giant option on the White House in front of both the Democratic and Republican establishment? Honest to God, after reading this book, you won't be too sure. Now, it's interesting, the couple factoids that I learned about Donald Trump is that, of course, he inherited a lot of money from his father, and his father was a real estate developer, not to the degree that he was. I think they were out in Queens and the Bronx area, focusing on middle-income housing and that sort of thing. But I heard a fact that I actually don't know if it's verified or not from a friend of mine that said if Donald Trump just invested his inheritance from his father into an index fund, he'd actually have a higher net worth today than he does through all of his beautiful art of the deal dealings that he's made. Which, if true, and actually wouldn't surprise me, is kind of interesting. He talks a lot about how he's so good at deal making when he could have just bought an index fund and he'd be worth more today on his balance sheet than he, says that he is. $10 billion, I think, was the last estimate that he gave the American public. Also, you'll notate in the book, and I'd actually like to read you a paragraph here, that anybody that calls Donald Trump a misogynist has no idea what they're talking about. And they obviously haven't read The Art of the Deal, because here's Donald Trump's words. And again, this was decades ago, before he was running for president, which I'm sure he didn't have the foresight that he'd be, running for president in the future. So the person I hired to be my personal representative overseeing the construction, Barbara Rez, was the first woman ever put in charge of a skyscraper in New York. She was 33 years old at the time. And then he goes on and he keeps talking about all the powerful women and figures that he's hired in his life. Really, it's been dozens and dozens of women. It's funny, he says. My own mother was a housewife all her life. And yet it turned out that I've hired a lot of women for top jobs. And they've been among my best people. Often, in fact, they are far more effective than the men around them. And then he goes on and on talking about all these powerful women. Of course, this includes people like his former wife, Ivana Trump. It includes people like his daughter, who still helps run his very powerful companies, Ivanka, who's a testament to the strength and I think brawn of what a powerful, elegant, beautiful woman should be in our society. So anybody that calls Donald Trump a misogynist, people like Hillary Clinton, honestly have no idea what they're talking about, and they're just making shit up. It's kind of what the mainstream media does best. Anderson Cooper puts on his little tie along with Don Lemon, and they just make shit up for the day. Of course, they're not really making shit up because they're just reading from the teleprompter from the people that own them are making shit up, and they're just basically, speaking to a camera. This book really made me question Donald Trump's real intentions going forward because, again, you get inside the mind of Donald Trump and how he thinks. Everything is an option to him. He's constantly flip-flopping in this book, wiggling and weaseling his way into the best possible position and outcome that he can possibly get to. And I've talked about this in my inner circles, it's almost as if Donald Trump, probably his inner circle, is surprised he's even gotten this far. But because he's gotten this far, he keeps on pushing and pushing and pushing because he understands the media, he understands how to control the masses, this populist anger that he's harnessed, this political vacuum of people just being pissed off at the current political establishment. But you might not be too sure what Donald Trump's true intentions are. Again, is it for the legitimacy of protecting the United States and doing what's best in the best interests of the good old USA? Or is he in it for himself? And that's it. And at the end of the day, if he dangles a giant option in front of the establishment elite and they offer him a huge sum, is he going to take it? Honest to God, I'm not so sure. So I think it's safe to say in this video, and again, I haven't changed my support for Donald Trump, but these are some pretty big criticisms that I've been thinking about, and I think that any educated person with half a brain should be thinking about. And these should be questions that I think we even asked Donald Trump on the campaign trail. If I have an opportunity here at AMTV, I'll do it. You know, Donald Trump is a smart guy. He's accomplished a lot. I'm not taking anything away from him of what he's done. You know, there's kind of an old saying that it's not, you know, how far you've come in life, it's how far you've come from where you've started. So yes, Donald Trump was rich. He was born into wealth. He was a silver spoon, essentially. But he did grow that silver spoon to a gold spoon. I mean, he's done some incredible things. He really has transformed the skyline of Manhattan. For the time that it was successful, his casinos in Atlantic City were very successful. And then he utilized bankruptcy proceedings to the best of his advantage, as a lot of corporations do, although I think statistically less than 20% of U.S. corporations actually file for bankruptcy at any given time. You know, Donald Trump, he's in a lot of different businesses. He's had a lot of failed businesses like Donald Trump Water, Donald Trump Steaks. And even if you think about the casino business, for example, I mean, that's not the most moral business to be in. I mean, if I'm going to be blunt about it, the only business Donald Trump hasn't been in is triple X-rated porn. I mean, honestly, I mean, gambling, it's pretty much the low of the low, Donald. I mean, let's just be frank of that. Now, I hear the argument, yes, Wall Street's also a gambling casino, but, you know, anytime you're taking people's money at the blackjack table, it's pretty low. It's kind of the bottom of the gutter. It's kind of sewer water. I mean, let's just be honest. It's a fair criticism. And again, this is coming from a guy who actually supports your campaign. You know, Donald Trump, I'm going to throw this down here, he's promised us a lot. He's made these big, audacious claims, and he better hold himself accountable to those claims. For example, he says he's going to build a wall. He's going to get Mexico to pay for it. He's going to deport 12+ million illegal immigrants here in the United States, which honestly, I don't see happening. You know, I'd like to see him get it done. In fact, one of the reasons I want to see him president of the United States, I want to hold him accountable to all these promises. You know, banning the immigration of Muslims until we figure things out, according to him. Renegotiating trade deals, something that I think him and his friends like Carl Icahn would do an incredible job negotiating on our behalf in the best interest of the United States of America. But he's setting the bar extremely high. Keep in mind, this is the art of the deal, folks. Donald J. Trump is a master salesman. He always sets the bar here and then closes you here. It's kind of like if he was selling you an engagement ring for your soon-to-be fiancé or wife. He'd say, hey, I've got the perfect ring. Here it is. It's $250,000. It's a beautiful diamond. Here are the incredible features. And you look at it, I'm like, Donald, I love the ring, but it's just so expensive. I mean, I just can't afford that. Do you have anything else? Donald Trump, the salesman that he is, goes back into the back room and says, I found the perfect item, but it's the only one left. Check it out. It's $45,000. So he sets the bar here and he comes down here. And even though in your mind, from the customer's perspective, you were only going to spend maybe $10,000 or $15,000 on that ring, you end up pulling the trigger of $45K because he sold you on $1 million ring or a six-figure dollar ring. I mean, that's the type of person he is. So when he makes comments like he's going to build a wall, get Mexico to pay for it, and he's going to deport, 12 million or more illegal immigrants from America, he better damn well do it. Or he's just going to change the game like he does with a lot of his business dealings. It kind of meet you middle of the road, say that, Congress wouldn't allow it, or, something's going to shake out and there's going to be some kind of middle ground somewhere in the middle. Again, Donald Trump's in danger. He's completely ruffled the feathers of the establishment system, of establishment politics. There's that element of danger. Another reason that I think Donald Trump might be apt to actually take that option if perhaps it is presented to him, and he does have that option. I mean, again, he's blasted the entire GOP field. I mean, we've had the likes of people like Mitt Romney and the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, among many others, lambasting Donald Trump, and the American people have just glossed over it because they're so freaking angry. And now he's adequately, I would say very aggressively, going after Hillary Clinton at a time when it looks like we might even have a brokered convention on the Democratic side. They were talking about all this time how the Republicans would have a brokered convention. Well, I actually think it's far more likely that the Democrats have a brokered convention. And it's a disadvantage for Hillary Rodham Clinton because she can't focus any of her attention on Donald Trump, which is exactly what Donald Trump is doing to her, bringing up all the scandals from the past like Whitewater and the accusations of rape from people, all kinds of ladies that have accused Bill Clinton over the years. Donald Trump is able to basically throw every single dagger in the book while the Democratic Party is scrambling to find their nominee. Really, this is radical politics. It truly is, which is great. It's one of the reasons I've been so excited about it. It's radical politics on the right. It's radical politics on the left with socialist Bernie Sanders. This is what America has come to. Literally, Donald Trump, as The Simpsons pointed out, what was it, a decade ago? I mean, he's our best option. Again, I'm a proponent of Donald Trump. I support him, but he's the best option. The art of the deal guy, the guy that runs casinos in Atlantic City and, basically operates kind of with the scum of the earth. I mean, I'm just being flat out honest. I mean, gambling isn't some kind of like sexy business enterprise, and that's coming from a capitalist. It's just one of those things that a lot of people don't really feel comfortable doing. I mean, why isn't Donald Trump in porn? I mean, he might as well just be Hugh Hefner as well. Nothing against Hugh Hefner, but again, that's the reality. Donald Trump is the only choice. And then we have Bernie Sanders on the left going to war with Hillary Clinton. What I am certain of, and what I know 100% for sure, is that Hillary Rodham Clinton is the scum of the earth herself. It would be the worst option for the President of the United States. She's a criminal. She's crooked, as Donald Trump's pointed out. And, at the very least, Donald Trump has helped to basically expose this New World Order political establishment for what it truly is. Just a corrupt, grotesque environment intermixed with, corporate money funneling into the politicians that they own. That's what all of this is highlighted. That's what Donald Trump has helped highlight to the American people. And that in and of itself, I think, is a giant success. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Maybe you've read The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump. Put your comment question in the box below. Click the link below to support our sponsor. I'm Christopher Green, and you've been tuning into AMTV, Alternative Media Television. Hard-hitting and in your face. Peace.